కాసిందే కోలు
నీరు నిమ్మల కింద గన్నెర్ల కింద వంగి పూలే రంగ కొంగందుకునే వంగి పూలే రంగ
Why is the world scared of female fantasy? Why is it that sexual desire by women is so frowned upon the world over for centuries. Why? Mythology makes women who desire into goddesses or into dishonorable women. But what's so dishonorable about sexual desire? Why? What is the world scared of? Is it an animal instinct that they will never be able to control? That they will never be able to channelize?
The question again. Sure.
Therefore forbidden.
Matter. And as well, the subject forbidden does demand her to be audacious and bold in her thinking and her development of her choreography.
The passion of art is for everyone. For any race, any culture, any religion, and any generation.
I believe Forbidden has a brilliant balance of ideas that are coming from very intricate, precise gestural work that you find in Indian classical Kathak, right from the fingertips to the eyelashes, and into big, broad, sweeping gestures that carry some of the bigger, bold and audacious themes of Forbidden.
It's an astonishing piece of work by an astonishing artist who has courage, intelligence, huge amounts of talent, and an open mind and an open heart. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, let the name come. And what a lovely video, Aditi. That was just beautiful. It's titled Forbidden, a Work in Progress. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please? Why this title and why a work in progress?
Sure. Well, I'll answer the second question first, work in progress, because this work, Forbidden, was supposed to be premiered in November 2020. But of course, because of the current situation, it's been postponed. And right now, it's a kind of work in progress. And we thought we would like to share it to talk about the journey that we've had so far. Now, why forbidden? You know, as women, as we grow up all over the world, we soon realize that curiosity about sexual desire for us as women, or exploring that sexual desire, very often, mostly, is slotted, compartmentalized, sanctioned, judged, and punished. We get that, we realize that as we are growing up. And this very cliched example of a teenage boy exploring his sexuality is often called a Romeo or a Casanova, whereas a woman exploring her sexuality is often termed loose, available. I would like to quote Mr. Devdutt Patnaik from his book Sita. The amount of discussion on female infidelity is not matched by discussion on male infidelity, indicating that women are seen as properties where boundaries must not be violated. Men are not seen so. So the question, why this disparity? What is it? Why is the world scared of female sexual desire, of female fantasy? Now, the trigger, this we all grow up with. You know, even though I was born in a very liberal family, I did realize that exploring my sexuality I was going to be judged. And so the trigger actually started by a very personal conversation. I had invited a bunch of women to my home for lunch. My mother was also there. And the average age was about 75. And this Italian lady who was there was talking about her childhood in Italy. And she said, you know, on a Sunday, when we would all return home from church, then my father would go to the bordello and my mother would go into the kitchen to prepare this grand meal for the evening. And my first reaction was, how awful. So one of the other women said, come on, Aditi, why are you being so judgmental? Why can't the husband explore his sexuality? So I said, hey, hold on, please. That's another conversation about the man going and buying sex. I am concerned or thinking about that woman in the kitchen. What about her sexual desires? What about her sexual landscape? Was anybody thinking about that? Or for that matter, was she even allowing herself to think about that? Or had she been so sanctioned and judged and slotted since childhood that that was not part of her physical, mental, and emotional landscape? So I turned around and asked these 70 plus women, I said, what about all of you? What do you think? Where is that sexual, you know? And, you know, I could smell it. I could see it, the suppression, the oppression, the frustration, and the saddest of all, the dream. What if? Because sexuality and sexual desire should be owned by humanity, not just by one section of it. And often popular narratives reinforce this constantly. What is released when women own their sexuality? What is the power that people the world over are scared? I mean, the popular narratives that I grew up on, and many of us in India grew up on. And Amita, I'm not a scholar, so I don't know in which interpretation of which narrative, how it was represented. But these are popular narratives that started settling in our psyche from childhood. Lakshman Rekha,
Correct.
you dare cross that line made by a man and something terrible will befall you. Agni Pariksha. If you want to survive, not burnt to ashes, then you better not have even a thought in your mind that is not for your husband. Or let's take the case of Renuka. She is so pure that she can collect water in an unbaked pot. Many of our ancient narratives and current narratives give these powers to women who are supposedly pure, who can survive a fire, carry water in a baked pot. Now she is momentarily, there's arousal of sexuality, a sexual stirring, when she looks at a beautiful Gandharva across the river. And she loses this power. And her husband orders her to be beheaded by her sons, the 4 sons who refuse to do that are turned into eunuchs. And the 4th son, the 5th son who doesn't, is celebrated. Now, these narratives we grow up with. They are part of our classical tradition. We dance them, we reinforce them. Very interesting. In fact, just recently, 2-3 days ago, I read an amazing article by, Mr. Devdutt Patnaik, who cites so many examples of the anxiety of rishis in our ancient scriptures and how it changed about getting more and more anxious and more control over women's body, mind, and emotional sexual landscape. I just want to quote, I find it so incredible, the story of Ahilya. She makes love, they have a union with Indra, knowingly or unknowingly, because he is in the guise of her husband. But this is the way I read in one of Mr. Patnaik's books. What are the punishments that are handed out to her and also to Indra? Indra castrated and Ahilya made invisible, forced to subsist on air. Indra's body covered with 100 vulvas that became 1,000 eyes when he worshipped the sun. So the burning of the vulva. Ahilya cursed to become a dried up stream. Ahilya stripped of her beauty and becomes becomes skin and bones. And of course, the most popular one, where she's turned into a stone and then only brought back to life again by the man. So somehow, that one little conversation with these women triggered years of this questioning within me. Why? And as we know, recently it's come so much into sharp focus
Yes.
of lies told often enough become truth.
Mm.
So when these narratives in various formats, and I refer to these because this is my cultural landscape that I grew up in, but it's all over the world, narratives all over the world, the control of female sexuality. How these narratives slowly sit in our psyche and how they become part of it.
Wonderful. So tell me, Aditi, you are a classical Kathak dancer, and these are thoughts forbidden to anybody, let alone, a dancer or an artist or what have you. So as somebody who has a classical vocabulary, who goes beyond what is allowed, how do you deal with that? How do you feel about your dance form, and what is it that you need to bring out these thoughts which are forbidden?
Yeah, first of all, I question myself, who allows?
Hmm.
Who is that authority that will allow or disallow me?
Mm.
That's the first question. Also, I question the great scriptures written about our ancient classical styles. And I was lucky that my guru, my family encouraged debate. They said, question it, agree, disagree with it, and then make your own decisions, which will have consequences. But nothing is carved in stone.
Mm.
Now, the Kathak repertoire, just what I was talking about, that you get these narratives around you get so embedded in your psyche that I remember there is a particular form of Kathak repertoire called Chhed. Actually, translated, it would mean no means yes. But all my life, I saw the most incredible dance of my gurus, of great performers, where the beauty of the dance just transported me, and I did not pay attention to the message that was constantly being drilled out, constantly being sang. Yes, this is justified. It's a classical arts. It's part of a classical tradition, and churned over and over in different forms. No means yes. Very often, the protagonists of No Means Yes were our great lords and gods. And so, what is the message that I was constantly giving out? And honestly, Amita, this didn't strike me for a very long time. And I'm surprised at myself that coming from a liberal family, questioning, I did not see what I was dancing till very late in my life. Because all these little narratives that I was dancing, which fall within the broader parameter of Chhed, were all to do with no means yes. It's the male understanding of what women, when they say no, it's not what you feel. No means no, and so I refuse to dance that anymore. And I'm surprised at myself that I danced it for so many years.
Interesting. So you have been collaborating with various people. And with this work in progress, how did the journey of this particular piece, Forbidden, take shape? Because you're talking of a new vocabulary, you're talking of reinventing some of the concepts that you had grown up with as an individual, but particularly as an artist. And then you are working with collaborators. Please tell us a little bit more about it, because the list of your collaborators are impressive. These are wonderful people.
Yes, I'm really lucky to be working with them. Forbidden is a contemporary work based on Kathak. So as I say, I'm a Kathak dancer, and when I sow the seed of Kathak and water it with contemporary sensibilities, the tree that grows out would be different in terms of its, as it would have grown out had I sowed the seed of Kathak and watered it with my broader Kathak sensibility. Having said that, the most important thing is that to let the concept actually brew within you, and start having many conversations, reading many books and seeing images and listening to the news and being aware of what is happening in the current scenario, and conversations. And these conversations then become more focused with the small group of collaborators that you're working with. But it starts with conversations. So I was really lucky to have Farooq Chaudhary, who's the producer and of the Akram Khan Company. Morag Deyes, Farooq Chaudhary is the dramaturg. Morag Deyes is the mentor, who's the artistic director of the dance space in Edinburgh. Nikki Wells is an amazing music composer. And I've heard her music done for many other artists. So I was really keen this time to go out of my comfort zone, because this dance piece itself is going to challenge my comfort zone. And I must say that at times I also get that feeling of, oh my God, what? And I'm really happy that my son and my mother and all say, no, go ahead, just do it, be out there. So Nikki Wells is doing the music. It's going to be very different. You heard a little bit of the music on the film. Michael Hulls, one of the greatest light designers in the world today. I'm really lucky to be working with him. I saw him years ago with Russell Maliphant in India. And since then, I've been wanting to collaborate with him. And Kimi Nakano, who's from Japan, will be doing the costumes. So this is basically a collaboration between me and my small team of my rehearsal director, Gaurav Bhatti, and my small team in Drishtikon, along with the collaborators from the UK.
Wonderful. So this must be an incredibly interesting journey, and you're physically possibly not together with all of them, but you are looking at a physical presentation in the course of this year.
Well, fingers crossed, yes. The premiere is scheduled for early October at the NCPA in Bombay. And we are hoping that all the collaborators will be able to come to India. We had quite a good skeletal structure done with many rehearsals in India, mostly in India, London and Germany, but then the pandemic hit. So currently it's a piece that I'm holding within me, keeping, it's been a difficult time for everybody and for artists, because suddenly time has become amorphous. There is a sense, at least for me, that at times I find the dance in me, at times not. And along with the anxiety that is our constant companion these days, it adds another layer of where am I going to find this expansion within my physical, emotional, and intellectual landscape of dance. So Amita, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but I only tell myself, okay, let's keep rehearsing, let's keep dancing, let's keep sharing. I share dance with my dance company and platforms such as yours very often, because we are a species that need interaction, connection, touch, even if it is virtual.
That's
So,
right.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Absolutely. I wish you absolutely wonderful and great collaboration and continued collaboration. Aditi, this was far too short. We have just touched the tip of the iceberg of the wonderful work that you're doing. We have put your details on the chat box, and we will have this particular video on the YouTube Live as well. We look forward to following your work on Drishtikon newsletter that you have. Thank you for being with us, Aditi. This is wonderful. And yes, we as humanity have always found ways to continue to be in touch. And while these are going to be different, some virtual, some hybrid, this particular festival is very much part in tune with such an effort. And hence, thank you from the little island up there in the north of Germany. Thank you for being with us, Aditi, and we look forward to following you further. Thank you all.
Thank you all for watching.
That's right. Thank you, and a good evening to all of you. Bye, Aditi.
Bye-bye. Bye.